Hi, nice to see you.
Okay, let's we'll get started, and I'm going to run through. It's a slightly different again format this month. So welcome to everyone. I think we've got about 30 people joining us, so as usual, people hop in and out as they choose. So if you could go to the next slide, Gemma, please. This is us. I think everyone on the call actually knows who we are. So Shima and myself, co-founders, and Gemma is the orchestrator and the doer of everything and the primary point of contact for help and if you need anything. So next slide, please, Gemma. News. So some of you hopefully will have seen this already. We're in the paper again today as she holds up the paper. Impact Women's Network, or Impact Win, is last week was at the Cambridge SME Awards, and we won Networking Group of the Year. We're very, very happy about it. I think it's fair to say, if I'm being transparent and honest, there weren't many other people in the running for it, but we don't care because we won it anyway. And quite frankly, it's a really good thing. You know, there's a lot of work that goes into this as an organic network, and with all of you participating in it and making it a really good network. So yes, Pat, I agree. Congratulations to everyone. We're really happy. I know, Shima, you've already posted on it, and we will do, we're going doing our formal photos at lunchtime. So we will do a post from the group as well, and it'd be great if you can share and interact with that too. So that happened last week, and also I did one of my usual comms things, and I decided that I was a bit bored with the Impact Women's Network brand, so we redid it. So you might have already seen it. Gemma, can you click on to the next slide, please?
If it was working.
Okay, well, we'll catch up. So you can see anyway that the maybe log out of it, Gemma, just escape and then try it again. You'll probably have seen, if you've been on the social media channels or you've been on the web page or anything else like that, it's had a little bit of a refresh. And we've also done a little bit of a promo. There you go. So you can still see it's kind of the same, but it's a little bit zhuzhed up. And we're promoting our theme of the year, which I'm going to come back to. And Shima, you have to do this because it cracked me up when you did this in your post. How are we pronouncing it now?
Impact Win.
Okay.
So spelled Impact WN, but pronounced Impact Win.
Yeah. And in honesty, we kind of knew we'd transition at some point in time. If you think about how our handles are, they're all Impact Win anyway. So that's that. So please do keep engaging on all of those channels, and I'm going to come back to the register at the end of the event as well. So the programme, as you know, is all around into-resilience for this year, and we've got a whole range of different topics, and today's topic is cryptocurrency, so I hope you're all ready for this one. The whole point of it is things are changing. We all need to be a lot more agile in what we do. So whether it's leadership, business models, technology, we're going to keep this first hour to learn and inform and interact. And then we'll log out of Zoom and go into wonder.me and have our informal networking session. So today's programme, I'm delighted to have Katharine Wooller with us from Dacxi. So when we search for speakers, we really do have to have a good look and find someone who's the right fit. And I spoke to Katharine a few weeks ago, and just what she knows about cryptocurrency just blows your mind. But I have got you a really tricky question, which I'm very much looking forward to seeing.
I hope I can answer it.
I'm sure. So Katharine can introduce us. But basically, it's again in a field full of specialists who are male. Then Katharine absolutely stands up there on her own. She's regularly in the press. She runs a Women Who Crypto group. So hopefully, Katharine, you'll tell us a little bit about that too, as authored a book, so really knows an awful lot about cryptocurrency. So we're going to have Katharine talk to us for about 20 minutes, and then we're going to run to Q&A. So general rules around Q&A, I think is on, there you go. Just post them in the chat function, raise your hand, and we'll get through as many questions as are possible in the time that we've got. And at the end of the session, I'll just come back and do a little bit of a update on a few other things and a wrap before we log out and go to wonder.me. Hopefully that's all crystal clear. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to our guest speaker today, Katharine Wooller. So Katharine, I shall give you a couple of minutes to get your slides up and to take control. But then it's over to you. And I think you're going to talk to us for about 20 minutes, maybe?
Yes, yeah, if that's okay, yeah, and then a bit of Q&A at the end, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So everyone get your questions ready, and I'm sure it will. What Katharine's going to talk about will generate a few questions too.
Fab. Thank you so much. Well, look, a huge thank you to Faye and Gemma for the invitation to talk today. Yeah, I think we spoke, must be a few weeks ago now, Faye. And I didn't know about your rebrand, so I'm glad to have come in wearing purple. I know that Shima clearly did know, because Shima's got a lot of purple on there. I'm not sure everyone's got their cameras on, so I'm very pleased that I've clearly hopefully turned up wearing the right colour. So I'll just try and share these slides. It's really challenging working for a tech company if your tech doesn't work. So can I just have some thumbs up if you can see some slides, please? Great, thank you. You're all still awake, that's lovely. So yes, just to introduce myself, my name is Katharine Wooller. I'm Managing Director for a business called Dacxi, which is a crypto exchange. And it'd be fair to say I am a bit of a crypto nerd. So unfortunately, crypto is one of those things, once you get someone like me that loves it, we are a bit evangelical, to be brutally honest. So I'll try and tell you a bit about crypto, what it is, how it works, why it is an incoming technology. So whether you've got an interest because you've got your own business and it's potentially something that you'll probably need to accept at some point, or whether it's just a technology that you're interested in because you know it's coming, hopefully some of what I say will be of interest. I've got two screens. I'm always conscious it probably makes it look like I've either got a lazy eye or I'm watching the tennis, neither of which true. I'll try and watch the chat, but I've got so many different screens open, I'm never quite sure where it pops up. But I'll definitely look at the chat at the end for Q&A. So one of the things I've spent a lot of time talking about is being a woman in crypto. So I've spent my entire career in fintech, which is just a really posh way of saying technology and finance. And my dad, who's knocking 70, is very keen to tell me that there has been technology in banks and finance since the 70s. So fintech is one of those annoying buzzy words that you see bounded around, which really is just used by companies that say, oh, I'm new and I'm disruptive. So actually having worked in banks, hedge funds, asset managers, I've normally been in a 99% male workforce. So I am probably a bit of an alien, being both a woman in fintech and then a woman in crypto is even worse. And I've got some great stories about going to do business in the Middle East and having to take a male chaperone. If I had £1 for every time someone's assumed I'm the PA, not the decision maker or the managing director, I'd be a very wealthy woman. Working in 99% male workforces is quite challenging, particularly in technology businesses. There tends to be a certain type of personality that attracts. I've worked in buildings that have got 300 people in and I'm the only girl. And when they've got unisex toilets, trust me, after 10 AM, that is a pretty unpleasant situation. So I'm quite passionate about getting women into finance businesses, technology businesses. And I think, as Gemma mentioned, and Faye mentioned, I'm leading one of what we believe to be the largest online meetup of women who crypto. So Dacxi is actually my third blockchain business. I'll come to what blockchain is. Blockchain and crypto are kind of used interchangeably. I specialise in startup businesses. So I have worked in some of the world's largest financial institutions, Citi, Deutsche Bank, NEWBIES. But what I really like is vibrant, disruptive, up-and-coming businesses, because I find that you can affect change much more quickly. So the last two blockchain businesses I've worked on went on to be valued at 15 million and 5 million respectively. I've got two businesses up to turnover of hundreds of millions of pounds. I've got businesses from 4 to 1,000 people. So I'm a bit of a glutton for punishment on the startup side. So, oh, I'm supposed to do this disclaimer. I'll get told off by our compliance team. So I'm going to talk you through a few slides that tell you about what crypto does and what crypto is. It doesn't constitute investment advice, financial advice, or trading advice. We don't recommend that you should purchase cryptocurrency. And of course, if you wish to do so, you should consult a financial advisor. So Dacxi is one of the ways that you can purchase cryptos. There's loads of different crypto exchanges, of which we are one. So it's one of the ways that you can move your lovely British pounds, or our European customers use euros, into a selection of cryptocurrencies. And when I end up talking to someone, you know, over a family barbecue or on the bus or in the queue at Tesco's, I sort of make the quite weird analogy that if I want holiday money, not that we can go on holiday at the moment, I potter up to the supermarket and there's a lovely lady in her booth, and if I want, you know, 200 quid's worth of dollars, or I want, you know, 200 quid's worth of United Arab Emirates dirham, I give her my 200 quid and she gives me back the right currency. We do exactly that. We just do it with crypto, not holiday money. And we do it online, so you don't have to come and see us. But one of the things that we specialise in is education. So we put out huge amounts of free education around crypto. We find that people are really intrigued by it. They want to know about it. Most people now, I think, have heard of Bitcoin. A couple of years ago, when I first started off in the industry, you kind of get this blank look. Some people have even heard of Ethereum, which I'll talk to you about today. That really blows your mind. And look, I think crypto 4 or 5 years ago was like the Wild West. And when I meet people that bought Bitcoin 4 years ago and they made their 1,000% return in a year, which is mind blowing, I always say I'd love to have been in your kitchen when you came home and said to your significant other, "How was your day?" "Oh yeah, it was really good. I bought this thing called Bitcoin." "Oh, what's that?" We don't really know. It's kind of on the internet. It kind of exists. It kind of doesn't. It might be okay. It might not. That would be a conversation I would love to have seen. I bought my first crypto a couple of years now. I'm in a relationship with a fintech CTO, and even I had to say to him, "Oh, I fancy a bit of this Bitcoin. What shall I do?" And I bought 100 quid's worth, because I thought if I knock it up or I press the wrong button, is 100 quid. I'm not going to lose my house or not be able to afford the grocery bill this week. So crypto is now a substantial global force to be reckoned with. 3 or 4 years ago, it was a bunch of weirdos in back bedrooms, a lot of kind of people living in their parents' basements. Whereas today, and I'll talk about it a bit in the next kind of 15 minutes or so, you'll see some of the world's largest payment businesses, banks and asset managers getting involved. So I was looking at some figures this morning. I really hate when people talk about crypto with loads of charts and loads of jargon. It's really manly and macho, and we just, you know, have to have a PhD in economics to talk about it. We specialise in talking about crypto in a simple and accessible way. It's not difficult, and we just try and give that information in a way that's accessible. So the market cap is a posh way of saying how big something is, how big a business is, or how big an asset class is. So the market cap is just a posh way of saying all the crypto in the world is worth 1.6 trillion British pounds as of this morning. So if you think crypto is a small industry, I'm afraid you are wrong. There was 50 billion pounds worth of Bitcoin traded in the last 24 hours. So I think in a very short period of time, crypto has grown substantially. I always say that I work in one of the fastest industries in the world. We have a joke that working in a crypto company is a bit like dog years. So crypto moves in a month what a normal industry does in a year. So the rate of change is absolutely phenomenal. And it really is a wave of technology that's coming. And I'll talk about the curve of adoption. And look, there's people that thought that computers would never go anywhere, or that people wouldn't have mobile phones. And I remember very clearly having a job. I must have started that job in 2005. And they gave me this really cool phone that you could send emails on. I got it on my first day. And I said to all my girlfriends, "Got this amazing phone, sends emails. It's called a Mulberry." And all my girlfriends said, "I don't think it's called a Mulberry, because that's a house." "No, it's Mulberry. It's a really good phone. It does emails." And when I finally got the right word, which was, it was a BlackBerry, it was amazing. But over the next 2 to 3 years, you know, it went from being a really exciting, expensive business gadget to you'd see teenage kids with them. So that wave of adoption for, and I'll talk about this in due course, computers or mobile phones, you will see the same thing for crypto. And look, I'll be very surprised if anybody listening to this call live or on call again is not sitting near a smartphone, and the value of that smartphone is about 800 quid. So some of the cool stuff that I've been privileged to do in crypto in the last couple of years. As Faye mentioned, I have a book on Amazon, which I co-authored. That book is called The Book of Money and Finance, and I wrote the chapter about crypto. You can buy that book on Amazon, or if you send Faye or me an email, I will send you a copy of the chapter that I wrote. It's just an introduction to crypto. I've been nominated, very proud to be nominated as a WireX Woman in Crypto on the Power List. And the business that I work for at the moment has got an award in the FinTech 50 from TechCrunch. So Dacxi is a global fintech. We have 6 offices in 6 countries, but I own the office in the UK, I own business in the UK, and we run Europe from our UK office. The other thing I spend a lot of time doing is writing for the press. So I write extensively about crypto, trends in banking, that curve of adoption that I'm quite obsessive about, and particularly women's wealth and women's financial freedom. I write for crypto magazines, fintech magazines, lots of very nerdy sort of banking technology magazines, and I increasingly get asked by the mainstream press. I must update this actually, the slides are about 6 months old. I've just joined a panel of TV experts, so I'm hoping if I get some more Botox I'll get on TV a bit more often. So I think that crypto probably is something that people are kind of starting to understand. And I think if you walk down your high street, wherever you're all listening from today, and said to 10 people, have you heard of Bitcoin? 9 of them would say yes, whereas 2-3 years ago, probably 2 of them would say yes. So I just want to talk about why crypto is doing so well, and of course, what it is. I don't want to be on this call to depress anyone. COVID has been dreadful for everybody. It's my opinion that COVID has affected women more than the human race generally. It tends to be us left dealing with family responsibilities and work. And of course, we see that as a UK wealth crisis. So the argument for crypto, very briefly, if you're in it like I am, is it's a faster, quicker, more efficient way of moving money. And some people will go even further and say it's fairer. So crypto doesn't care if you're a boy, a girl, doesn't care if you're where you're from, what your education level is. It is more democratic. But it's a fact that most recently it has done really well over COVID. So I was putting out articles last March and April which said COVID has killed cash. So it is essentially seen as dirty. So I don't know about you guys, but I have cash in my wallet for 2 things. Parking on the high street, which is a pain in the bum, and pocket money for my son when he does mowing the lawn or, you know, wants to go and buy some sweets or whatever. So I next to never use cash. We're getting very lazy with, you know, touchless payments. And I'm trying to look at some of the people on this call. I think, you know, you can remember the point at which if you took your credit card to pay for a meal, you put it in the machine, it made a lovely crunchy noise. Do you remember that? Yeah. And over a couple of years, they all disappeared and we all had the PIN code thing. And now we've got touchless payments, and actually the limit on how much you can use for touchless payments keeps moving. In the last budget, that's about to be pushed to about £100. So crypto has done very well, and COVID has helped. And I don't mean that in an insensitive way. I've got relatives that have passed away from COVID. It's dreadful for everybody. But of course, we've had an epic COVID recession. So you'll hear that called a black swan event. So a black swan event is just something really random that occurs that no one saw happening. So coronavirus saw about $9 trillion wiped off global markets. This is, I think I've only got 2 graphs, but this is one of 2 graphs, and it looks at essentially our stock market falling off the edge of a cliff. We lost about 30% pretty much overnight when we all realised that COVID wasn't just something in China that was quite funny on memes and on your WhatsApp. You know, it was actually going to really affect us. And since the beginning of 2020, we've seen about 7% go back on our stock market. So we've lost a lot, and it's starting to come back. And of course, we're all a little bit nervous about what the future holds. Furloughs, payments are finally being withdrawn, and just seeing what happens as we come out of COVID and everybody is inoculated. Oh, sorry, too many slides forwards. So the good news is that cryptocurrency has really triumphed over COVID. So these are figures for last year. So cryptocurrency has been the best performing asset on the face of the planet last year and this year. So if you had bought some Bitcoin at the beginning of 2020, over the year you'd be up 270%. If you bought some Ethereum, you'd be up 450%. If you bought some Litecoin, you'd be up 191%. And by contrast, if you'd invested in the FTSE 100, you'd be down 15%. So we're not an advice business. We don't tell you what to do with your money. But for that reason, an awful lot of our customers, and we've got tens of thousands of users on our platform, are switching some of their cash to crypto. And actually, we have an entry level on our platform of £100. And what we tend to find is that people do exactly what I did 3 years ago, buy 100 quid's worth of crypto just to check it works and they're comfortable. And then over duration, invest more in the market. So really, that's the reason why lots of banks, asset managers and hedge funds that originally said, absolutely not, crypto's toxic, it's not an asset class, it will never work, are now coming to the table. And that mostly happened last year. And I'll talk about some of those businesses that are involved. So as Dacxi, we're actually working on predominantly on retail customers in the UK and Europe. We have a pension and an ISA product that we're about to launch. And for nearly all of our customers, and we've got tens of thousands, we are the first time they've bought crypto. And for nearly all of them, they've done that in the last 18 months, which is really interesting. So if you are someone who is knocked off with the 0.25% that your current account is giving you, or you're somebody who is a business that takes payments, it is highly likely in the near future, and I mean the next couple of years, that your customers will be saying to you, may I use crypto? And I think the regulatory environment has really helped. You know, 3-4 years ago, our regulator, which is the Financial Conduct Authority, was not interested in crypto at all. It was just something they sort of thought would die and go away. Whereas now the FCA is increasingly involved. And actually, as a business, we really embrace that because, of course, it's good for the industry and good for retail investors. So I've talked about how marvellous crypto is. I should probably talk about what it is. That would probably help. So I get a little bit annoyed when I see blockchain and crypto being used interchangeably because they are different ideas and people try and make it really complicated. So this is my 30-second explanation of what crypto is. So crypto is very simply internet money or a digital asset. So you'll probably know now if you go and buy, I bought a can of Coke this morning, which I've since drunk and put in the bin. My can of Coke, I went and bought from Sainsbury's on Marlow High Street and it cost me £1. And I didn't use a pound coin, I used a contactless payment and that was done electronically. Crypto is another evolution of that. There are actually about 9,500 cryptos on the planet, which is mind-boggling. So people trying to get into crypto sort of get a little bit, what's the word? Can be a little bit blinded by science. So you'll notice that when I looked at the growth rates in crypto, I picked out 3. So the blue chip cryptos, which is what the institutions are interested in, are primarily Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. The trend that we saw last year has continued into this year. I was looking at some figures this morning. Bitcoin has appreciated 87% since the turn of the new year. Ethereum's done 350% and Litecoin's done 168%. So if you're talking about crypto, I want to be really specific that my interest is in the well-established ones, and the top 10 in the world are 90% of global traded volume. So I'll say that again, the top 10 and 90% of the world's trade, that tells you the rest should die a death. But they are all based on this blockchain technology. So in the old days, a database would be held in one place, and if you wanted some information, you would ping that database for that information, which is great. Blockchain was created decades ago by some academics that then struggled to come up with a use for it. So blockchain is very simply that information held across the users. And sometimes you'll see that called distributed ledger technology. So blockchain is the foundation stone for all the cryptocurrencies. And you'll see it deployed across a large number of industries. So I've worked on 3 blockchain businesses. They're primarily finance. I've also worked with some healthcare. You'll see it deployed across logistics, supply chain, tracking diamonds, tracking our COVID vaccinations. You'll see it in a huge variety of industries, and this is from the Forbes list of 50, which shows you a lot of the world's biggest brands that are now using blockchain. So if someone asks you, you'll now know what blockchain is. The other thing you'll see is a lot of the world's largest businesses now placing their bet on crypto. And one of the things that crypto has not failed at, but I suppose it's the litmus test, is, well, if I buy some Bitcoin, can I use it to do my weekly shop? And the answer today is no, I'm terribly sorry, you can't. People that are buying crypto are buying it for the appreciation. They're buying it because they're backing that horse in the race. in the next 6 to 12 months, I would expect to see a lot more day-to-day use of crypto. And right now we're just not quite there as an industry. So I think starting with some of those big payment companies, and obviously the biggest in the world are Visa and MasterCard. MasterCard is working on crypto wallet projects and holds 80 patents in blockchain technology. Visa holds 24 patents in blockchain, and you can today pay in crypto via their relationship with Coinbase, and they're also investing in quite a lot of crypto startups. Last summer, they announced that they were going to work really closely to try and bridge that gap between crypto exchanges, companies like the one I work for, and crypto businesses. So on the basis that Visa has got 61 million merchants and is used by 1 billion people worldwide, that connectivity with the crypto industry is really key. PayPal, so excuse me, I've just gone too far forwards. PayPal announced last year that they would start making crypto available to their customers. And actually that prompted a huge growth surge in prices over the last summer. And actually getting crypto and what we call the infrastructure is really important. So you'll see Visa, PayPal, MasterCard talking about something called digital currencies. So central bank digital currencies is a posh way of saying all the central banks are looking to digitize their currency, about 80% of them right now. And we need that infrastructure to allow people to use crypto day to day. And if you look at some of those big retail businesses, eBay was on Reuters yesterday saying that they were looking to have it on their database as a way to pay. And actually Amazon and Uber today, you can pay with crypto. So those are some of the world's largest businesses essentially backing that horse, which I think is interesting. So for those of you that have your own businesses, again, I would expect to see in the relatively near future your customers asking you if you accept it. The other thing that's been very interesting is seeing the traditional financial services industry come to the table. One of my favourite things was last summer, where at the beginning of the summer, all these really famous banking companies were saying, no, absolutely not. Don't touch it with someone else's barge pole. And then when COVID hit and stuff got really bad, they were like, it's going up a lot. We might just buy a little bit just to see what's going on. So going back to the original point that crypto moves value in a cheaper, more efficient way, that is interesting to banks and financial institutions. So a good example is Bitfinex, which is a big exchange, moved $1.1 billion worth of value, and that cost less than $1. So those of you that have done overnight transfers and been charged 30 quid or sent money overseas and been charged, you can imagine that crypto as a global network is exciting. So hopefully you've heard of some of these businesses. DTCC is the world's largest financial value processor. They've got blockchain projects. Citi and JP Morgan are tier 1 banks. They're involved. BlackRock is the world's largest asset manager. Now the business has more assets under management, and they're extremely positive about crypto. Particularly their chief investment officer is always talking about crypto in the press. So I think it's interesting. A lot of that growth that you've seen in the last 18 months has been driven by that institutional investment. And again, I think winding back 3-4 years ago when crypto was just weirdos in back bedrooms and people that quite liked it like me, I think in the next 18 months, you'll see the vast majority of crypto will switch from private buyers and owners like me into the hands of the institutions. So I've talked a lot about adoption. If you look at that graph on the left, that is a very classic adoption curve. So that would apply to anything, you know, computers coming in, mobile phones coming in, TVs being in the house. You've got that initial bit, the seed stage, where it's a new idea and people aren't really that impressed. You've got some new companies, but they're struggling to get off the ground and not really getting that traction. If you then look at the growth phase, that tends to be where more people are on the idea, there's more entrance to the marketplace, there's more talk about it in the press, people think it's a marvellous idea. And then you get that momentum, that really real kind of explosive growth. And crypto really is in its momentum phase. So if you compare that with the graph on the right, which is the life cycle for Bitcoin, a primary school child could tell you that those graphs match. And that graph would be reiterated by the other major cryptos, so Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, Stellar, Cardano. you know, most of those are following that trajectory. So if you think crypto is not coming, respectfully, you are wrong. If you think that you don't like it and it's not for you, that's absolutely fine. 80% of the world's banks will be digitizing their currencies. So it's highly likely, even if you don't like crypto, you'll be using it, albeit unknowingly. And a good example of that is, this is the list of 2021's most valuable companies by market cap. And the majority of those big businesses are talking about crypto. So Amazon is involved. Alphabet is the holding company for Google. Facebook is looking at its own crypto, which is called DM. Tesla, you probably see in the press. Elon Musk is very passionate about crypto, and he actually now holds some of his treasury in crypto. So what he's done is said, I'm sitting on all this cash. Cash is devaluing because there's too much of it being printed. I'll move some of that into crypto, and his choice is Bitcoin. Visa we've talked about today. JP Morgan's involved. So look, if you look at the majority of those top businesses in the world are embracing crypto, I think that tells its own story. So I just want to leave you with two final thoughts. This amazing graphic I don't get to use anywhere near as much as I would like. And it's from In Bitcoin We Trust. So unfortunately, a bit like ex-smokers or evangelical Christians, crypto, once you know about it, you just want it. You'll tell anyone, people on buses, family funerals, the school run, you just can't help yourself. And I think everyone starts off with a little bit of a passing interest, then you look on Google, then you get involved. And I think crypto has really proven itself over COVID. I was writing articles in the press a year ago saying our financial infrastructure is not fit for purpose in the modern era. So I think, I won't read out a slide because that's poor form, but just think about where you're at on that journey. You know, I know people that refuse to use internet banking. They've been left behind. I know people that don't like computers. That's not been good for their careers. So I think just educate yourself in crypto, even if it's not for you personally as an investor. It's a technology that I would seek to understand. And I think for people like me that think that crypto is coming, it's like stopping a freight train. And it's also my opinion that the crypto industry will make, for those of you that are old enough to remember, the dot-com boom of the noughties look like chicken feed. You may have seen that Coinbase, which is a massive exchange, IPO'd recently. And one of the lead investors was one of the original investors in Netscape, and Netscape kind of kicked off the dot-com boom. And you'll actually see a lot of those investors that did very well out of the dot-com boom are now starting to invest very heavily in crypto. So Faye's twitching slightly, so I know that I'm just about over time. So my last slide was to say that she's doing this, really odd. She's going to just throw me out of the meeting in a minute. We're girls, we can talk for hours. So look, a couple of useful resources if hopefully what I've said has been interesting. If you'd like to find out a bit more, I'm going to stick around for Q&A anyway. But if you look at our website, which is dacxi.com, there's loads of free education. We don't charge for it. It's very easily available. There's no obligation to use this as a business. We've got free ebooks. We do lots of free webinars, free education. We've got some Facebook groups. Women Who Crypto, I'm very proud of. I think it's the largest online meetup of women in crypto. They're not people working in it full time like me. It's people with a passing interest. And we talk about everything, what's happening in the industry, what people are doing about it as a side hustle, where they think the market's going. And we talk about everything from childcare to dating to husbands to who does the grocery shop, you know, to education. We cover a huge variety of topics, and it's a group that I'm very proud of. So look, that's probably all I've got to say. I will stop sharing. Hope I can do that and pass